My name is Shaki Dosa. The agenda for today is my student introduction, project introduction, research, milestones, and my internship experience. So my name is Muhammad Shakir Tabriz Dosa. I'm 15 years old. I'm in grade 11. Some things that interest me in AI are how jobs and careers will be affected in the future and how artificial intelligence is developed. So the idea of trying to replicate a human being through a robot is just fascinating for me. My expectations from the internship are to learn more about AI from my mentors and receive feedback from the university professors. How AI will affect my future. I'm interested in the field of medicine as I have always wanted to help people around the world that are suffering due to lack of healthcare, which can be resolved by AI. I'm trying to learn coding through this course so I can implement it in my future endeavors. This would help accomplish my dreams of helping people in need, but also help the people in the economy. My project introduction. So my project introduction, I chose the diabetes prediction app, or as I like to call it, Prevent. I chose this project as there have been many cases of people didn't know they were diabetic until the very end, in which the condition had worsened and had become critical. This had me thinking if there was a program or app in which people could enter their body data, it would give a result for positive or negative diabetes, which can tell them to go to a doctor for treatment. This would be beneficial to society, as it would mean better healthcare, fewer critical conditions due to diabetes, and less people suffering. The project research that I did was I figured out that there were two types of diabetes. It was type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is gained genetically when the person has low insulin levels and the pancreas doesn't release enough insulin to break down the glucose. Type 2 is when it's developed through lifestyle and diet. This is not genetically gained, but it is gained because of uh, increased intake of glucose. So how I will use this to my advantage. In the data set, insulin and glucose levels are both given. This is key. As the person has low insulin levels, that means that the person has too much glucose left in their blood that is not being broken down due to the lack of insulin in his or her body. This way I can classify whether the person is diabetic or not. This way they can get treatment, for example, an insulin shot to increase the glucose breakdown in the body. My project milestones. First, I will learn how to use Python libraries, pandas, matplotlib, so that when I start coding the program, I have knowledge on how to use it to my advantage. I will start writing my program for the diabetes prediction app by November 15th. It should give me enough time by 24th December, which is when I will have to submit my program for feedback. And I will improve and edit until 21st of Jan. So my experience so far, I earned a Rockstar badge. I had a really good experience meeting the mentors and learning basic programming. We learned about Tinker and how to open web pages, and I learned how to add buttons and labels on my web page. So moving along, I hope to learn more about AI. So this is my final presentation. My app name is called Prevent. So the agenda is acknowledgements about me, my internship journey, and about the app, about app demo, social media launch, and feedback. So acknowledgements. First, I want to thank Mr. Ken for the amazing feedback he gave me, which really assisted me in the making of my app. Secondly, I'd like to thank my Clevered mentors, Miss Shivani and Miss Smita. You both have been really helpful in teaching and answering my questions and queries. Lastly, I'd like to thank Mr. Avishek Das, who has been my teacher for Clevered sessions and got me interested in coding. So about me, my name is Shaki Dosa. I'm in grade 11 and I study in Dubai. I love playing football in my spare time, and when I can't, I enjoy reading. I aspire to become a doctor in the future and hope to take along some helpful coding skills along with me. I've learned many Python skills and I'm now learning how to use different and more advanced libraries. In the future, I hope to learn complex languages to further enhance my knowledge. My internship journey with Clevered. It has been a delight meeting and receiving feedback from both Mr. Ken and my mentors. I've gotten 6 Rockstar badges and I've learned about a lot about Python. The progress of programming the diabetes prediction app was gradual, but I got there in the end. I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support from Ms. Shivani, who really helped me through my problems in my code. About Prevent. The app has the user input certain values of medicinal information, such as insulin levels, glucose levels, and blood pressure. I chose these three as these relate most to diabetes. If it's high glucose and high blood pressure, I thought it related most to type 2 diabetes. If it was low insulin levels but high glucose, that meant that the person probably has that type 1 diabetes. So this is my app demo. So this is the start page, and then you can click next. Um, and then after that, you see the insulin page. You enter an integer value, which is saved onto the insulin data set. And then after that, the same thing for the glucose and the blood pressure. And then after that, when you click next, the results page pops up and you click submit and it outputs a final answer. Like over here, it predicted that the person does not have any type of diabetes. So social media launch. My program code, my libraries needed for file, app user manual, and dataset needed have been all posted onto both LinkedIn and GitHub. Anyone can access the code and test it out for themselves if they like. The interface only needs three values, which are insulin, blood pressure, and glucose, as I've mentioned before. I chose these three values as they relate most to a diabetic person. So here are the links to the GitHub and the LinkedIn. Feedback. The feedback I received from Mr. Ken and others has really helped me make my program take shape. The feedback given made my program more specialized from just saying whether the person has diabetes or not, or to what the main cause of diabetes is and what type of diabetes it is. So thank you. Yeah, now I'll show you my program code, which is over here. So this is my program code. So I run it and this is the user interface that pops up. So this is the start page. I click next. Insulin levels. I will input a value, which will be 11. Over here, I will put in 250 for glucose levels. My blood pressure, I will put as 111. And then the results page, I click submit and it outputs. You have type 2 diabetes. You have too high glucose levels and need a stable diet along with exercise. Eat less carbohydrates so your glucose levels are reduced. I'm extremely sorry, but I think you have diabetes. So in this way, it shows that which type of diabetes it has and the solution to it. So this is the result from my front end code, and here's the result from my back end code, which uses the data diabetes CSV, which has a list of values for different people and produces a heat map and different things. Yeah. So thank you again.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mohammed. This is again, I think, just showing like your colleague Suhani. This is such an important area of study as well as uh, interventions, which you're showing with your app. I would like to say, first of all, very well done, and you're looking at, I guess, three particular parameters that determine risk of diabetes. I would also say the same thing I said to Suhani, that it would be really important, I think, to look at risk and to talk about the risk and what's contributing to that risk. So, for instance, if it were the glucose level, you could probably say, well, your glucose is really contributing based on the value you've given it. That's probably contributing the most to this decision of the risk of diabetes. One thing I'd also suggest is, and I would suggest to the last presenter, when you have inputs that are erroneous, making sure that people have the right values to put in. They may have the units wrong, they may type wrong. You want to have, particularly in a user interface, a forgiving input. Make sure that it's at least makes sense. And if someone puts in completely ridiculous numbers, that they don't at the end get some sort of a scary diagnosis or scary output based on bad input. But other than that, this was a really great app, and I really wish you a lot of luck with your future. I think this is a really good area of research.
Thank you, sir.